Welcome to another episode of Whitetail Rendezvous, coming to you 6 days a week as we interview whitetail experts and hear their traditions and personal stories of the hunt. Learn more about the latest gear, discover proven tips, and the latest strategies so you can make your next hunt a success. Now, here's your host, Bruce Hutchin.
This is Whitetail Rendezvous Podcast, episode number 268. Welcome to another episode of Whitetail Rendezvous. Yes, folks, it's a pleasure to introduce you to Cobb Sanders. He is the founder of Treezyn, a new and slightly different camo pattern that I've been fortunate to use in August, and I'll be using it come the rut in the Midwest this fall. Cobb's an interesting gentleman. He's got a mind that doesn't forget. He's creative, and he brought all the patterns to life. I can't say anything more about that, his creativity. So sit back, relax, and enjoy Cobb Sanders, founder of Treezyn. Hey, listeners, don't forget to text 33444 Food Plot for your free Food Plot ebook.
Welcome to another episode of Whitetail Rendezvous. This is your host, Bruce Hutchin, and I'm so happy, pleased, and excited, folks, to have Cobb Sanders, the designer, founder, and owner of Treezyn. Cobb hails from Kentucky. So, Cobb, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much, Bruce, and I've been looking forward to coming on the show and talking with you, and I appreciate greatly Whitetail Rendezvous having me on. It's many big things.
Wow, and we love having you here. And folks, I just had Tina Caney, executive director, and Cobb and Tina helped me out with my sheep hunt back in August, and it was a great hunt. Their camo worked fine. You'll be seeing more of that stuff coming down the road, and but his stuff works. I guess that's the simplest thing for me to say. I've been hunting whitetails for over 50 years. I'm celebrating my 50th anniversary this fall. His stuff works. Now, Cobb, why does it work? Let's just jump right in at both feet and tell me why Treezyn works.
Well, setting out on this to start a camo, I just wanted something that would break the human silhouette bigger. I wanted a softer, natural element, and of course, all come into play to make this pattern what it is. And I think we've nailed it with this late season brown pattern. You know, we do get the bigger breakup. The color quadrants are different, and it seems highly effective. All the testing and all the reviews have been outstanding, and we're just very proud of that fact. But essentially, it just comes down to a bigger breakup. I didn't like what I saw, and all the other camos out there, and so I just decided, you know what, maybe I should make my own, the way I like it, and thankfully, the way that it's come out, and the way that we put the final stamp on it, I'm not the only one that likes it, and that's always a good thing in business.
Yeah, you might say that for sure. But, here you are. I don't know 100% what your background is. Kind of tell the listeners, what your background is, not your hunting tradition, but just what you've done for a career.
Well, for a career, I'm an industrial technologist. I fix and make, break, design all things in manufacturing industry, all of the machines and equipment that, to keep this American cog, rolling. And that's what I've done since I've gotten out of college. But that being said, even as a child, I could draw real well, and I saw things a little differently. And I think the combination of my artistic gifts, so to speak, and then the way my other side of the brain works. When I work, everything has to be, symmetrical, and everything has to be right. I'm pretty meticulous when it comes to that. I think it's all kind of forged together at this point in my life to create whatever this is inside of me that we get out and get on these patterns that just that work, come together aesthetically pretty, but functional. When it's going against the animal's eyesight, and it seems to work so well in the woods or even out in the open, just breaking up that human silhouette, which is the key.
Now, when people see your stuff in the store, it's different. I mean, when I was hunting, people go, "What's that? And where'd you get that pattern?" I said, "It's treason," and just go to our website at treason.com and check it out, because it's different, and I like things that are different. And you're competing in a huge industry, it's $1 billion industry, the outdoor industry. And to carve out a niche, you've got to be good at what you do. The product has to be there, and everybody will buy something once. You and I know that because it looks good, feels good, price right.
Yeah.
But it's the long term that you jumped in both feet and said, I'm gonna develop a pattern that's going to be here for long term, and every 18 months, maybe it's 2 years, I'm going to bring out an enhancement or something, something to fill out my line. But
sure,
when I think of it, and the grassroots, how you're growing, how does that all come? Because you've been out there working, but you haven't, I don't think, run on any other companies or even developed an apparel company. So what makes you so special?
What makes me so special, or this company so special? I think where you have to win in this industry, and even with people and consumers, I think we've hit a home run in my personal opinion. Now, these are my opinions, and someone can argue, and that's fine. But in the 3 areas, especially in camouflage, that I think you have to absolutely grab people. I think you've got to grab them by your name. I think Treezyn is a great name for camouflage. I think you have to grab them by a logo, something that looks good just on marketing wear, something looks good on a cap or on their jacket, even if it isn't, your camouflage pattern, just a casual lifestyle type of wear. But then also you've got to have a pattern that's appealing too. You got to have a pattern that is functional, and yet, when it's sitting on the shelf or it's on that hanger in the store, people got to go, "Ooh, I like that." And let's face it, most people, I couldn't even know a percentage, but there's got to be a large percentage of people that, buy it because they like what it looks like. And then if they go out into the woods and to them, it seems to do a good job. And then you compound that, if they get fortunate enough to harvest their prey or their quarry, then the combo, hey, I like the way that looks, it worked good, and I was successful, you just grab it. But I just think where we have an edge, and where we really do win, I think name, logo, and look, all very catchy, all very different, all kind of a hybrid, modern take on camouflage apparel. This is my version and my opinion, but I think that's where we win.
Why are some people drawn to Treezyn and other people, they may be drawn, but they just don't make the grade, or they're not able to join the team? How's that work?
What are you talking about, joining the team, like becoming staff or officers?
Yeah, becoming pro staff or Treezyn tribe, or, the people that are supporting you out in the field, and your pro staffers, those type of people.
Well, you know this too, Bruce. I mean, every company, you only have so many positions. You can't have an unlimited, position of pro staffers or officers, or field staff. And we're still relatively new. Our pro staff, consists of people that either I have known for a long time and know and trust this person, know how good of a woodsman or a woodswoman they are, or their industry resume speaks for themselves, and we have gotten to know them in the past years. We use an analogy here of a relationship. Being in this position, you get emails, you get a ton of people. Hey, you need us. We need 5 outfits and $2,000 because you need us, and that kind of thing. Well, you can't say yes to everyone. If it's just like a relationship and dating, to me that's the equivalent of showing up, you meet me and you want to get married. But I don't know you. we just do things a little different. We want to step back and get to know people, work with people, see if we're a good fit, see if they're a good fit, and move forward that way. As far as executive officers and pro staff and field staff, like we said, there are only so many positions, and you definitely want to you hope and pray that you make the right decisions when you bring people closer to you to work with on a daily basis. And so far, within this company, the way we've approached it and what we're doing, it works for all of us. I mean, it's an absolute joy. And you don't mind when you see our staff's names pop up on your phone. You don't mind dealing with these people, and they're good folks doing great stuff. So,
Jay, if somebody is listening to the show, Cobb, and they want to get a hold of you guys, what's the best way for somebody to reach out to you, take a look at your product, buy your product, or just get in touch with you because they get some ideas or they get some interest? How do they do that?
Well, in this day and world of modern technology and Facebook and internet, Twitter, whatever, I think we're pretty reachable. Now, does that mean within 5 minutes we're right back on you and in a conversation? Probably not. Everyone's busy. We've got a lot of stuff, but we do try to get back, with everyone as we get around to it. But it's easy to reach. You can get on us. You can reach us if you go on the website, www.treason.com. There's a contact us tab that all you have to do is click on, and the email comes directly, to my email account. Facebook, you can get in touch with the staff, via Facebook, and I think it's pretty simple. We're not hiding from anyone. We're just doing what we do. We're out there in the public, and pretty easy to reach.
Today in the warm-up, we talked about a little bit about Uncle Carroll and how he got you started in your hunting tradition. Let's go back a ways and share some of those early days with Uncle Carroll.
Well, it's my late uncle Carroll Owen Burton, and he was a Mercer County native in Kentucky. And as a child, he and my aunt kind of took me in after their son left. I was young, 6 or 7, started spending weekends and summers with them. They lived on a dairy farm. He had several hundreds of acres that he farmed, raised corn, tobacco, cattle, all of it, and on top of that, milk twice a day. But I was just always, kind of struck, not having a father, just here's this, this strapping man. And I remember, when he was my age when he was taking care of me, as a little boy and bringing me up. He had this wavy hair. They have some Native American blood in him. He was just dark complected, strong, and he just kind of fascinated me. And then on top of that, he was a hunter and a great shot. And I remember we tell that, him growing up, in the 50s and 60s, that him and all his hunting buddies would just get in the truck. These guys would drive out, west out to Iowa and Nebraska. They loved to bird hunt. They would pheasant hunt. I just remember him telling this to his friends and even to me. Yeah, they would go up and knock on doors. Hey, can we hunt your farm? And he said more often than not, the people would invite you into the house. They would invite you to eat with them. A lot of times stay with them, and you made a friend. Can you imagine that today? Driving up someone's drive and knocking on the door. You're going to have a pistol in your forehead, or they're going to have, the law on you. And I just remember those stories. But we would go hunting. I would always have to shoot squirrels out of the nest with my BB gun so they could shoot them with their 22. They just got me started that way. And, the camaraderie, and it just grew, as I got older. He would take me hunting or let me go hunting. And really, as I was growing up in the early 80s, no one in my family really deer hunted. He had properties that had deer on them. We really just started getting the deer herd in this part of Kentucky. And so, I'm 13 or 14 years old, and I was just like, hey, Uncle Carroll, I want to go deer hunting. And like, okay, they give you the rifles. Now you go, be careful. And, it just seems like it's a different time. I'm not that old of a person, I don't think, but it's a different era. Or maybe I caught the tail end of a really good era of hunting and stories and how it used to be. And maybe I romanticize that a little bit. I do, but it sticks with me. My love and admiration for him, and then my love for nature, the outdoors, and hunting, and it just all kind of came together. That was the introduction, and a good one.
Yeah, and people ask me, Tina's asked me, says, what's with you, or what's your story? And I sitting here, but I wanted to hear about Uncle Carol, because at Otto Knight, Foster Center, Rhode Island, he taught me how to drive his truck back in the 50s, because I am old. And then he took me. I had to work. He sold grain for Eastern States, so I had to go out, sweep out his office, sweep out the the warehouse, and then when I got bigger, he'd say, okay, go get that 20-pound bag and bring it, chicken scratch or whatever, and bring it to the guy's truck. And I was just always hanging around, because I knew that there was apple pie waiting for me, there was a trout stream waiting for me, and there was a 20 gauge single shot waiting for me when we jumped in the truck and went to the old homestead. And he just empowered me to love hunting. Now, would I've loved hunting without Otto Knight? Probably. It was just like yourself. I knew I was going to be a hunter. There wasn't any question about it. I killed my first chickadee over breadcrumbs with a rubber band and a paperclip, and I cried because I just killed them. Cobb, I'm dead serious. I was probably in 8th grade, and I said, how am I going to do this? And I couldn't catch up with the rabbits, and they didn't like my box traps or snares. And so one day I saw these chickadees coming down for this food. So I got underneath a pine tree and spread out some stuff, and I sat there. I just sat there, and then they come in, and I go, and I miss, and then evident, it actually happened. And I cried, and I said, oh my goodness, I just killed something. And so I said, I'm sorry. And I dug a hole and I buried it, but it never left me because I was a hunter.
Oh yeah. Well, and the same for me, that's funny. You talk about, that shotgun being a reward. When I was about 6 or 7, they dug this huge pond on their farm. There was a spring, one of the creeks in the western part of the county. The spring was on their farm, and it was a huge pond. And about the time that I really was starting to get independent, as a boy and out in the woods, 11, 12, 13 years old, this pond was maturing in age, and it was getting good fish in it, and I was learning how to fish. I would go down there with a BB gun, a 22 and 410, and that's what people seem to do then in the country. You go out and you learn. You would watch and you would take things in. You would learn how to shoot yourself. I mean, albeit I'm sure we made some mistakes on form and style, but you just came into your own, and I just loved that. You'd let me go, but then when it was time to go bird hunting or squirrel hunting or rabbit hunting, hey, let's go. I'd get the 20 gauge or the 12 gauge, and we'd get the dogs, and it just it's just something that I hope, if anything leaves me in my life as I age, I would just, I don't want my memories to go, stuff like that,
Now, we talked about hunting. Now, what's the naturalist part of you? Where does that come from?
I just think I have a real, appreciation, and I think most hunters do, and just for nature in that circle of life. I don't think, I don't know about you, but just like you talking about you crying on your first kill, when you kill a deer or any animal, larger than, a large mammal, you've taken a life. It's a big life. Although you're a hunter, you're excited, to have taken this animal. It's a bittersweet moment. You've taken a life of that size, and I don't know if I think naturalist is the right word. I just have an appreciation for nature. I don't want to kill recklessly or aimlessly. And then when it is time to kill, I take a lot of pride in my ability, to make the shot. I know we're all, when we hunt, I would hope that we're all confident of our own abilities, to perform, at that moment. I know I am. I know I've done this for years and years, and I know my ability to shoot and to come through. I don't know. I think that all goes hand in hand. It's just that appreciation, for Earth and for life and for God's creation. I think it all just kind of, it should come together. Well, I don't want to say should, that's saying it should be like this for everyone. But for me, that it does come together, and I think that's the best way I can sum that up, where it all is, you hear people talk about, that moment in the stand, that sunrise or that sunset. But when I hear people say that, I know exactly what they're talking about, because that's the way I experience it as well.
When you think about, we're going to switch it up a little bit, listeners, because Cobb is really building a brand. And when you think about it, it's not easy. And if you read his bio and everything, it's not easy. So just highlight it, because there's some people out there saying, man, I want to do something in this industry. I want to do something that's going to make a difference for me, my family, my friends. I want to make some money. But before the money, you have to create. So where does these creative images come from?
You tell me, and we both know. We don't have that solid answer. I don't know, Bruce. You hear people, even when I started doing this, they're like, I love to do that. I want to work. I think there's a big misnomer out there to listeners and people who really don't know the industry. And once you get inside here and you hear things and you see things, on the outside, before I really got involved in this, every time I saw someone on television, I'm like, it's got to be the coolest thing ever to make money hunting. I love hunting, and wow, what better way to make a living than hunt? But we all know that's not the case. The large number of those people you see on television, they're out, they love to hunt, and they're working hard to get sponsors and money to put their product out there for people to see. So I think that's a big misnomer. Like, hey, all I got to do is get a show, and I'm making money in the industry. But to make money in this industry, just like any other commerce category, you have to have a product that people want. That's just hands down. You got to have something that they want. I think we do, and I think it's growing. Our product line's growing. Our base is growing. Our development of new products is growing as we grow. But bottom line, you better have an idea. You better have the patience and the money and the strength to push that all the way to fruition, because it takes everything. It takes the time, it takes the money, it takes the patience, it takes the drive. And I know a lot of people quit, and the only difference for me at this point is I just haven't quit. But also I believe in my heart of hearts that we've got a product here that not everyone has to like it, or it doesn't have to appeal to everyone. But in a multi-billion-dollar industry, you don't need everyone. You just need enough. Correct?
1% works really good.
Oh man, I take 1%, and I start scratching for 1.25. Here we go. We're going growth charts through the roof. But with the acquisition of Bass Pro buying Cabela's for $5.5 billion. Serious?
Billion, folks.
Billion.
Hey.
Yeah, with a B, not an M. Yeah,
that's
just with
billion.
a B. Yeah.
And they started off in the city of Nebraska, two guys selling flies. Nobody buy them, so they gave the flies away and charged $5 for shipping and handling.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Dick and Jim Cabela. I mean, that's how they started, folks. It wasn't a mega store. It was a couple of guys saying, "Hey, let's do this, so we can go fishing in Lake McConaughey," and so they did it. And guess what? If you hang around there, and I've been fortunate enough to hang around Sydney a little bit and hunt with some of the people from that company, and all of a sudden you go, "Holy fright! It wasn't easy." It wasn't easy at all. They had a catalog business, and everybody who has stock, who worked for the company and still working, has stock, and so they made a couple of bucks for the investment. But it doesn't come easy, and I know a lot about Cobb's journey, and his first order blew up in his face. He paid for it, couldn't sell it. So now what are you going to do? So tell us a little about that dark day or dark night or dark week. How do you get through that?
Really? You had to bring that up, Bruce? Really?
Yeah. Come on, let's be real here.
That's as real as it gets. And that was a tough day because, at that point in time, listen, I work for a living. I'm not independently wealthy. And I didn't have, huge financial resources. So, I had taken everything that I could get together, with working, living, paying bills, and just doing the norm of what people do, and been working on this. And it was time to build, it was time to build some clothes. And I had to go, I don't even want to say these countries' names or anything, but I had to go where we could get smaller orders. Just number one, because we didn't have, money to build a commercial type order. Long story short, the samples they sent were very strong, feeling happy, feeling good, about everything. So we go ahead and, full force, let's do this with a big, whopping, order. It was big to me at the time. It was just me. And, we've had some stuff lined out. We had some shows. We had TV stuff going on. It was going real good until the order came in. And when we opened up the boxes, it was supposed to have been, our late season brown, and everything was green. And I don't know how I drove home from my friend and Vice President Matt Mitchell's house and made it all the way to Georgetown without stroking out or having a heart attack. I don't remember the drive because, that's your first reality check. All my money was spent. The product is not right. I've got people hanging on the line for this stuff. And now what do you do? And just had to, fortunately, Bruce, sometimes you need a break. After I cleared my head somewhat, I took this stuff outside. I was so frustrated. And I laid it on the ground or laid it up in a tree. And the green didn't look too bad, actually. It actually had, a decent look to it. It wasn't what I wanted. It was the opposite. But at the same time, a handful of people on this planet knew that it was supposed to have been a brown order and not green. So I took a chance and went to a show in Columbus and was supposed to have set it up in a booth with the store and things like this, and had some teams up there that were waiting on it. And I didn't even take it in. I just kept it in the truck. And, some of the guys that were supposed to get it, like, where's the stuff? Where's the gear? I'm like, man. I said, we had some bad luck. It's horrible telling the story or having to tell them. You just feel terrible because you want it to work right. And I'm like, I don't know if you guys like this. If you want to, we can walk outside. Of course, it's the middle of winter. It's freezing. And right at the end of the show, that day on Saturday, guys come to the truck. I'm pulling stuff out of the boxes. And people start buying this stuff like crazy. I look like a crack dealer on the back of my truck bed. They're in this box. And I'm like, hey, people are coming out and we're meeting people. And we did a lot of business that day on, out of the back of the truck with a wrong green order, first order of treason. And that was that was the first real infusion, like, hey, even if this stuff is wrong, people are wanting it. So, but I think it's two things. That's twofold. I think we do have a product, the name, a look that people want, but hunters want to spend money. You know what? Hunters love to spend money on clothes and products. So why not? And it worked out. I can't believe.
And here we are.
You asked me about that
down the road. And like I told Tina Kane, executive director for Treezyn, I just had her on the show, folks. And like I told her, you guys aren't even started yet because it is a $1 billion industry, and you're just, you write about being a fledgling company, and you're getting so much traction from the people that you're attracting. And we're coming up to the end, and I just want to, if you can, just in a couple of minutes, what type of people are you looking for to take a look at Treezyn to become part of your journey, whatever that means? What kind of people are you looking for?
Well, it's really different on the way. That's really a tough question because the consumer you want the consumer. And the consumer doesn't really fit into a category except this consumer has money they want to spend on your product. You can't moralize. You can't put them or compartmentalize like, hey, this guy does this or this is a good guy or bad guy. It's nothing like that. But we want the hunter and the outdoors person that of course, that wants something new. If they're on the look, if they're tired of everything they've been seeing, which is why I created Treezyn. I just thought everything had gotten a little stale. And there are some good companies out there. There's some good new camos and stuff that's really coming on, from the other big two, and it's really exciting. But I'm not a hater type of individual. I'm not afraid of these guys, or I don't worry if I see a new company or a new pattern. We worry about us. And I know what we put out, and just like I said, it's a big industry. There's room for a lot of us here. But that being said, I would hope that we bring people on that kind of have that mindset as well. I don't want to just define a person as a treason guy that you just have to wear treason. I know me in my bag. If you walk in my basement and get in my big duffel bag, no, I haven't thrown away all the other companies of stuff that I used to wear or anything like that. It is it's a mixed bag of all kinds of camo. And, and we want that same guy. I want me, that other version of me out there, to come and look and get some piece of treason to add to his hunting arsenal. And that's about all I can say. They don't have to be dressed head to toe, socks, underwear, in treason, but, make it part of your hunting arsenal. It works, and I think we work in just about any environment, but there are some other camos that do that as well. So, that's what we're looking for, that person that's just open to using a tool to make him better for that day or for that hunt.
Thanks so much for that. And now you get about 90 seconds or 120 seconds to give a shout out. I know you can't cover the waterfront with it, but, do your best you can, and then we'll wrap the show.
Well, I would say thank you to Robin Yates for keeping me going, for feeding me, and putting up with my zaniness, for Matt Murphy, Tina Kane, Doug DeHarkart, Mike Pierce, Joe Willis, Todd Duff, Matt Moore, all these people that are involved with this company, directly or indirectly, that make us what we are. They're great people, easy to talk to, easy to approach, and they're just good ambassadors for what we're wanting to do. Look, we just want to make cool camo, cool clothes, sell it, be productive as a company, be profitable as a company, and to keep doing this and just see where the journey takes.
Mr. Cobb Sanders, on behalf of thousands of people across North America that listen to Whitetail Roundabout, thanks so much for kind of grafting me into the Treezyn family. It's been a ride so far. I just can't, I can't wait to get the ATA and see where the buzz goes, and whatever we can do here at Whitetail Rendezvous, you always got a friend. So thank you, sir.
Well, thank you, Mr. Bruce, once again. Thank you at Whitetail Rendezvous for having me and listening to this sad story from this guy from Kentucky.
Yes, sir.
Hey, folks, tune in for the next episode of Whitetail Rendezvous. We're going to visit with Joe Piccone. Joe is the founder of Piccone's Trophy Whitetails of Sudden, Ohio. He's got some big bucks. He's kind of unique how he's put together his operation down there in Ohio. And they target Pope and Young bucks and, of course, Boone and Crockett bucks, but most of the deer they take will qualify for Pope and Young. Stay tuned, enjoy the show, and let me know what you think about Joe Piccone and Trophy Whitetails of Sudden, Ohio.
Thanks for joining us. Be sure to tune in tomorrow for another episode of Whitetail Rendezvous, where you can listen and learn from the experts so you can be more successful on your next hunt. Until next time, listen, learn, and succeed.